gut.
Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we are here to spill our guts about horror films. And we want to give a big thank you for watching or listening to another episode of the Gutted Horror Podcast. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe or follow us. You can find us at Gutted Horror Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify. That's right. Probably missing a couple. We're also on Twitter at Gutted Horror.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can email us at guttedhorrorpodcast@gmail.com, and we would appreciate your feedback, comments, your lists.
Yeah, love lists.
All that good stuff.
Post your lists of whatever you like in the comments below. This month, we want to pay tribute to one of my favorite subgenres in horror, the slasher film.
Ooh.
I love slashers. So we've decided to do a collective top 10 list of our top 10 slasher films, desert island style. So they're not necessarily the best slasher movies, but they are the ones that we would take with us if we were on a desert island with nothing but a DVD player and some DVDs and Blu-rays or whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. And slashers are tricky because I feel like people like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some people watch them because they're so easy to watch. They're entertaining. They're satisfying.
They tend to be very formulaic. Like there's a killer typically, and that killer is on a rampage, just systematically knocking characters off in the movie. And so it is easy to watch. And just like if you had a long day at work, you just want to go home and watch a little slasher flick.
Right. You don't need to get too crazy into the plot. It's just like...
And you leave a lot of room for, plot holes or whatnot.
It's just good fun.
It's good fun. It's feel good.
Yeah. And with that said, I'd say it's pretty difficult coming up with a list. And the way we did this was each of us have come up with our top 5 slasher flicks.
In no particular order.
And if there's a few additional... if we're doing this desert island style, then we're going to have reserve boats.
Yeah, like a little lifeboat.
Yes. And if we've decided that if we choose, we haven't seen our list, just as we kind of like to do our list when we did our top 10. We don't talk to each other about what our lists are before. I mean, we might have some idea of what the other person might choose, but we're trying to kind of surprise each other.
Yeah.
And if we do have some crossover, then those movies are going
slashed.
To get... Well, one of them's going to get slashed.
One gets the double gets slashed.
It'll stay.
Yeah.
And then we will be able to choose a movie from our lifeboat.
Yeah. You can't have 2 of the same DVD or VHS on your island. That's wasteful. That's a waste of resources. So yeah, one gets slashed, and then one gets to be saved from the lifeboat, and then we'll have 10 collectively.
Yes.
On our
so
island.
we should end up with 10 lists. I don't know if we can call it a
movies.
Top 10. I think it's just our 10.
10 movies, yeah. 10.
Because it's not in any particular order.
Right. Just 10 that get to hang out with us on the island.
Yeah.
It's
10
good fun.
Fun slasher films.
Slasher flicks.
Yes.
And before we begin, we should warn you that there will probably be some spoilers. I mean, we're not going to get too deep into the movies, but there will most likely be spoilers. So listen.
There might be if there's a twist or something, it might accidentally be revealed.
So yeah, when you hear the title and you haven't seen it, just cover your ears or whatever.
What is it about the slasher film that you like? What is it that interests you about the slasher film?
Well, I mean, kind of like I said before, it's feel good. You know the formula. You kind of know what's going to happen. Also, I think slasher films are interesting because they are typically not supernatural. And so they, I think, are the most closely related to reality.
Hmm.
So for me, I kind of like putting myself in the situation of the characters. Like, what would I do if there's like a ghost involved? I mean, I haven't been involved in too many paranormal experiences, if any, although I have tried to find them. They don't happen to me. So for me, slashers seem like that's something that is more based in reality. You're not having supernatural characters usually.
Yeah, the typical, if we're going by sort of like the post Halloween slasher tropes, or like the Friday the
Yeah.
13th slasher tropes, you usually have young people, you have
Young people.
some sort of central killer
Hmm.
with a
With a very rudimentary weapon like a knife or an axe,
or a
something that,
blade or a
yeah, some
chainsaw or
garden
something.
tool that can be found in the back shed. So they're not crazy typically. Anyway, I'm going off the typical slasher. And there are the movies like Tourist Trap where you have your supernatural
Yes.
elements. I'm not talking about those ones. That one's cool, but
See, for me, I had a hard time with this list because I realized that a lot of my favorites do dip into that supernatural
oh,
area or territory.
hmm,
I think I'm less drawn to like the straightforward there's a maniac chasing me
oh,
around with
interesting.
something.
Hmm.
I tend to like stuff that is either I like the sort of like meta
So,
commentary, or
oh,
sometimes I like that little like supernatural, and even a lot of the big slasher franchises do have that element of the supernatural, even if it didn't start in that realm.
hmm,
So, if we're talking about Halloween or Jason, they eventually run out of ideas and they're kind of rehashing the same thing over and over again. So then they just tend to go to that supernatural area.
you mentioned meta commentary. I kind of have an inkling. What's on your list now?
I think you
Interesting.
probably already could figure out some of the
Mm,
things that's on the
maybe like a
list.
couple, but I don't know
Yeah.
all of them. You spent a long time writing yours. I'm like, what are you writing
Well,
about?
okay, one of the reasons why it took me so long to make the list also was because I was kind of thinking about, all right, um what's in that gray area? What do I like? Um and I kept finding myself thinking about movies that are either not considered a
Right.
slasher first.
Uh-huh.
There's elements of a slasher, or maybe it came out a little bit before the
Before
slasher was a
Halloween.
thing. Basically,
So
like,
like
yeah,
the
like
proto
everything pre
slashers.
Halloween, um, that are influencers of the slasher genre.
And those are
And
in your desert island
well,
slasher movies?
maybe, yeah, some, I don't
Okay.
want to reveal too much.
Interesting.
But I also found that with some of the, there was just the boom of slashers in the 80s. I can't remember them because like they blend together.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
so I did, I think I enjoyed some that didn't make the list, and then I don't know. My list is just gonna be
It's all over the place.
confused. Oh, it's gonna be all over the
You're gonna be
place,
a
and
confused
I might have
desert
some that are
islander.
questionable. Like that's not a slasher, but to me, like for my criteria for slasher is there is some sort of killer, and they're kind of like systematically like
Hmm.
going
Hmm.
through the
Yeah.
young people.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And we've had this discussion before about horror films in general, how the definition of what is a horror film can be very broad or vague.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like wedging one in there that is probably not by popular belief considered a horror film, like Rear Window. And I will still argue that one till this day. But
For those who didn't watch our top 10
episode
list,
one.
there has been some discussion as to whether Rear Window is a
Yeah.
horror film or
And
suspense.
I've had some people debate me since then, like my mom, about Rear Windows belonging to the horror film, horror genre. Anyway,
But anyways, I think it's fun to kind of expand the category. I don't think I'm ever one that's like, no, this is definitely not a slasher because of this
Yeah.
reason, and this person's not a virgin and they didn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
But I,
Randy's rules. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a purist. I think
You
if it
leave some
has
flexibility. So.
I have some flexibility,
Okay.
and I think that if it has the most of the elements, then for me it's in
it's
there.
kind of like is Pluto a planet? You know, like it has two of the three qualifications to be a planet. It doesn't have all of them. So you have your camp of no, Pluto's not a planet, and then your staunch Pluto is a planet supporters. Anyway,
although I haven't thought about that Pluto debate in a
I
while.
have a lot. Pluto's a planet, guys. It's not fair.
All right, this is going to be our Stranded on Pluto top 10 horror list.
Stranded on Pluto.
Yeah, so we're on a desert island, and these are movies that we are going to take with us on this. Pluto. We happen to have a DVD player, and maybe all of the stuff was just packed in our suitcase.
Yeah. Might have a bottle of water somewhere.
Or maybe it's a Castaway situation where there's a FedEx box that kind of floats over to the island, and we open it, and it just happens to have our top 10 horror movies in there. And a
solar-powered DVD player, so we don't have to plug it in anywhere.
This list is going to have just as many plot holes as some of the slashers that we love so dearly.
It's going to have just as many plot holes as our outline for an episode.
Okay, we're going to Rochambeau to see who goes first.
Dun, 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 Ha-ha!
Okay. Aleece is going to go first. We also didn't say rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We just thought it in our heads.
Dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So this is how it's going to work. She's going to read a movie from her top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's on my top 5, then I'll say, I have that.
Mine gets slashed.
Well. It gets slashed.
Yeah.
So mine gets slashed or yours gets slashed?
Yours gets slashed.
Okay, yes. If I didn't read it first, then it gets slashed.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you get to pick from your reserve boat.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's kind of a win-win in some ways.
It is a win-win. Like, I'm the one that was like, I like it so much, I said it. But you get to pick one from your lifeboat.
Okay, I like the way that works.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's get started.
Okay.
So, from your top 5.
Top 5.
What's a movie and what's a slasher that's coming with us to the island from your top 5?
I am first choosing Slumber Party Massacre from 1982.
Oh, and we're such a like-minded couple because that's also on my list. So I get slashed.
I had 2 others that I didn't choose because I thought they would be on your list also. Dang it.
So what made you pick Slumber Party Massacre?
I thought, you know what? I know you like it, but it's probably not on your top 5. So I was like, that one's probably pretty safe.
That one's definitely on my top 5.
Dang it. Okay, well, I love Slumber Party Massacre. I just saw this not that long ago, too. I saw it like 2 years ago, and it was playing on the Shudder channel, which I love. Not promoting I am promoting, but I'm not getting a kickback from the Shudder channel. Anyway,
we're not getting any sponsorship from Shudder, but
no sponsorship from Shudder.
Either way, you should definitely go download and subscribe to Shudder because it's the best channel ever,
and it's reasonably priced. Anyway, so it was playing on one of those 3 Shudder channels on like Slashix or something, and I was like, "What is this?" And then the longer I watched it, I was like, "Oh wow, this thing is like riddled with social commentary and metaphors of being a woman." And I was very impressed that it was made in 1982. I had always avoided it when I was younger, when I was going to the video store to rent something, because I thought, of course, a bunch of scantily clad high school girls just getting murdered at their slumber party, and they're wearing like these little teddies and negligees, and I just thought it was going to be super typical. So I always avoided it. But then when it popped on Shudder, thank you, Shudder, I was pleasantly surprised, and I love the whole movie, and it's almost like a comedy of errors in a way, like that scene where the young girl neighbor who wants to be mature, but she's like maybe 15. She wants a beer, and they're investigating in the house, and they're opening up the fridge, but there's a dead girl in the fridge, but she doesn't know, and so she keeps like closing it and shutting it, closing it and shutting it, because her sister's like, "Come on, we gotta go find the rest of them." She's like, "Oh, but one beer, come on." And then this like dead girl's just like flopping in and out. Just a little comedy of errors. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
So
I mean that's a lot of the reasons why I enjoy it too. Is it kind of flips the slasher genre on its head,
yeah,
and not long after that boom, um, it by writing these roles for the female characters that aren't just like your purpose is to
be
be
killed.
killed or
Yeah.
terrorized.
And
Um,
when you're hanging out you're having that typical locker room scene where you're all showering naked, and they're talking about baseball. They're talking about sports, and they're not talking like, oh, what about that boy? He's a hottie, isn't he? No, they're talking about like, oh yeah, and that game was really awesome, and da 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 da. I just really enjoyed the background combo in those stereotypical slasher movie scenes.
and it is pretty brilliant in the killer is really not the main focus of the
He's
movie at
not,
all.
yeah, and he looks like a dad, just like
He's
some
just kind of this whatever
random
guy.
dad,
Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't have any lines at the
until the
very
very
end.
end, yeah, and the lines that he does have are just very, like, poignant and creepy.
Great movie. I loved part
Yeah.
2 as well, although that's very
Part
cheesy,
2
but
is funny and
it's
fun,
fun.
but yeah, part 1 definitely just knocked it out of the
I
park.
love the cheesy and fun, so part 2
Yeah.
was really fun for
Yeah.
me, although it wasn't a very great
Had a
movie.
great weapon.
Yes.
Guitar drill or
One of the best weapons ever in
That
horror.
was pretty cool. All right. Well,
Okay.
that's my
So
first in my
Slumber Party Massacre. All
Yeah.
right. Should we be taking note of this so we can?
I'll
let's
make
see.
some notes. Make a little tick mark.
Oh yeah, that's a
Done.
good way to do it. Okay, let's just get this going here. So that means I get to choose something from a lifeboat.
You can choose it now or you can choose it later.
Okay, I am going to I'm just going to choose it now.
Okay.
All right, from my lifeboat, we are going to go with it's too hard to decide.
Yeah, it's a desert island. You don't know when you're leaving. You can be on this island for the rest of your life.
I'm going to go with okay, this is one that I also saw maybe a couple of years ago or maybe a year ago. I can't remember when I saw it, but I absolutely loved it. It is Strange Behavior, aka Dead Kids.
Dead Kids.
But
yes.
from 1981.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Dead Kids. They'll scare the living daylights out of you.
It's one that I had a lot of fun with, so
Yeah.
it's something that I could watch.
And it's interesting
anytime.
because it's not the formulaic one killer stalking all these kids. It's multiple killers and they are kids. And that's the little spoiler. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But I love that anything that kind of like throws a wrench in the formula is very noteworthy for me.
All right, so now do I get to choose
No,
from my top?
you just chose.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm bad with these lists and
I
I don't know
know.
how the game works.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who like I'm not really gonna follow the rules. I'm just gonna kind of go with
breaking
it.
all the rules.
And yeah. I'm not
Okay.
gonna read any rules to any board game.
All right. Well, one that I don't think is in your top 10 or top 5 is Club Dread from 2004.
Oh, okay.
And I chose this one not just because they're like on an island and we're playing desert island slashers.
That's perfect.
It just happens to fit. But I, want my top 5 at least to be well-rounded because you don't want to just be like hit with like dark, hard slasher after, dark slasher.
You're not just freaking yourself out. You need something
you want
lighthearted.
some lighthearted slashers like Club Dread. I loved Club Dread when I first saw it in 2004. And that's another one where I was pleasantly surprised. It's just like, this is really, it's from the producers like Broken Lizard who did Super Troopers.
Yeah, they did Super
and
Troopers.
Beerfest.
Yep.
And
Slam and Salmon, Super Troopers 2.
Oh, I didn't see
If
that
we were doing
one.
a top 10 desert island comedy, I would probably choose a lot of those movies.
Yeah, I know Beerfest was in your top 5 for a long time.
Oh yeah, I own it and I love it. Yes.
And yeah,
I'll save that one for my comedy
Yeah,
podcast. Tony's solo comedy podcast.
Yeah. But Club Dread's just a whole lot of fun. And it has Bill Paxton as this kind of Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville crooning.
I think you mean Pina Colada Burke. The song I wrote 7.5 fucking years before Margaritaville was even on the map. Of course, you wouldn't know that, because you weren't even born yet.
Come on, Hawk Shell, let's get us a drink.
I don't need this shit.
Come on, man.
Is it Amy Smart?
No, it's
Or
Brittany.
Brittany Murphy?
No,
Brittany? No, not Brittany Murphy.
Brittany Daniels.
Brittany Daniels.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. She's great. I loved her after I saw this. And then she was, I don't know if she was in White Chicks first or after, but she's great in both of those.
That's a fun one. I remember it, but I don't remember it in close enough detail to kind of comment on that one.
It's very fun. And I thought when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Bill Paxton's in this. I really expected him to like die right off the bat because I thought he was too big of a celebrity to be in a movie like that. But no, he's a solid supporting character throughout the whole thing. He has
I think I do remember that actually.
he's a fun character to watch. He has like mini meltdowns because someone does compare him to
Mhm.
Jimmy Buffett at one point and he gets PO'd and storms off. Oh, I love that movie. Funny. Okay. So that was not on yours, huh?
Nope. So that
Huh.
gets to stay.
Good. My strategy's working.
I mean, I don't know how strategic I'm gonna get. I think I'm just gonna name some stuff.
I just want all my movies to come with me.
But you'll get some of your reserve.
Yes. Okay. Go
All
on.
right, and I have a feeling this one will be on your list because it's basically one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and definitely probably the greatest slasher movie ever made.
Mhm.
And it's, can you guess it? 1978. John Carpenter.
The
Halloween.
Just kidding. I like guessing the wrong thing.
Halloween. Is it on your list?
It is.
All
So
right.
my double gets slashed. Yahoo.
And I get to keep Halloween. It's gonna stay on
Yes.
my side of the island.
Ah, that's not fair. I didn't know that was the rule.
We have 2 DVD players, so we're changing the game.
Oh, okay, fine.
I mean, what can you say about this movie? It's
Yeah.
one that's so rewatchable,
Mhm.
and it's a movie that you like more the more you watch it.
Yeah.
It's simple. It does everything right. It's nuanced. It
Yeah.
has likable characters.
And
Has a
the
likable villain.
soundtrack, yeah.
Soundtrack's
And the score,
amazing.
yeah.
If you were not watching the movie, you could just play the soundtrack and turn the TV away
Yeah.
or the monitor or
It
whatever.
is good background noise around like Halloween time. If you want to get into the spooky mood, you just pop it on and
Mhm.
go like tidy up around the house, put up your spider webs and listen to Halloween. Yeah, that was my top one horror movie when we did our top 10 list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in my top 10 as well.
Hmm.
I had a few in my top 10, but I opted to, well, actually, no, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
We're playing the game.
No spoilers for the list.
Yes. Spoilers for the movies,
Not
but
the
not
list.
for the list.
I'll spoil all the movies.
Okay, so that means you get to go into your
My
lifeboat
boat.
reserve.
I can, but I'm going to save that for later.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep going with my top 5 list because I feel like this one that I'm about to say is not on your list. So I feel like I'm pretty safe.
Okay.
1992's Candyman.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's not on my list, sorry.
Yes.
Not to be unclear there. That one I was unsure if it could be considered a slasher. I see that as more of like a supernatural love story.
Supernatural. It definitely is a supernatural love story, but he's got that hook, man. He's slashing people. And
He's literally slashing people.
He's literally slashing people. So I feel like, how much slashery can you get if you're being like slashed and gutted? So,
That's true. I think it just it wasn't on my radar
Yeah.
because I don't know. I put that movie in maybe in the
different
supernatural category.
subcategory. Yeah.
But then I'm gonna go against what I just said
Yeah.
and probably choose something that's more in that category. So
Yeah. But I want my desert island list collection to be well-rounded. And I do like it as a horror romance, romantic horror movie because I love Tony Todd. I love when you first like see him in just that amazing coat and he's got that look and that scene towards the end where he's holding Helen and he just he has his mouth full of bees and he doesn't even flinch. And then it shows Virginia Madsen or Helen and she's just like, her mouth is tightly shut. Like, I don't want any bees in here. And he just went full bee mouth. He's got this mouthful of bees and then he kisses her with his bee mouth.
That's a beautiful moment.
It's so beautiful. It's terrifying and creepy, but it's also very beautiful and romantic. And just looking at Tony Todd's face, if anybody else had done that, no, I can't imagine anyone else who would have been able to do that and not flinch and pull that off. And that just seems like one of those like one takers. Like I imagine that he like one take. I don't know, maybe he had several, but
yeah, that's definitely a movie that I would enjoy having on the island and watching over and over again.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Do you fear the pain or what is beyond?
Both.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Candyman.
So I'm glad you put it on there.
Thank you. It's going to be a good one for our desert island. Okay.
All right. So now it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just gonna go with it. I think this is after Halloween. This is probably one of the top 5 quintessential slasher movies. And it is 1996 Scream by Wes Craven.
Yes.
And this is a movie that I can watch over and over again. I love that it's commenting on these other movies. When you watch the movie, you kind of start thinking about other horror movies, and they make little nods and references. And actually, more so in Scream 2, but I chose the original.
Yeah.
But they make all of these other references to these other movies, and it gets you to like think about those other movies.
Yeah.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex.
So if I'm on a desert island and I can't bring 100 movies, I can only bring 10. At least I can watch Scream.
Where they allude to all your other favorites.
They'll allude to them and they'll be like, oh, yes. I'll just replay it in my head.
Replay it in my head movies. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, I think that's just one of the quintessential horror movies of all time.
Yeah. And all the characters are great. I always really enjoy David Arquette's character, Dewey, Deputy Dewey. He's so childlike but charming and vulnerable, and all the characters are great. That is a great movie.
And sometimes I misremember Scream, and I'm actually remembering Scary Movie.
You like Deputy Doofy?
Yeah.
Love Deputy Doofy's character.
Some good stuff.
Well, that one is also on my list, so that gets slashed off
again.
my list, and I get to dip into my reserve boat, which I will have to do now because we have now named all of my top 5. So
really,
yeah,
wow, that was quick.
That was quick. So my first movie that I'm going to save from my reserve boat is kind of in the same vein as yours, and I'm not going to argue that this is one of the best slasher movies of all time, but I just really enjoy it. And I think it has a lot of nostalgia aspects to it for me because I saw it in high school. Actually, no. Yeah, I did see it in high school, not in the theaters. But it's 1997's I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay.
Somebody help us, please! Somebody help us!
Yeah, I love that movie, and it has like that fisherman with the hook, and it kind of plays into like the urban legends with the whole like, oh, you got a hook for a hand.
Yeah, I see where you're going with your weapon of choice would probably be a hook.
Yeah.
You got the Candyman hook.
Oh yeah, I just got all the hooks.
Yeah.
Couldn't put the fog on here because I don't feel like the fog is a slasher. That's more
Yeah, I
like
don't think that's a slasher.
supernatural.
Yeah, definitely more supernatural.
But I do feel like that maybe I Know What You Did Last Summer was maybe inspired by The Fog.
Yeah.
Because when you watch The Fog and you see those fishermen with the hooks, it's like filmed in a very silhouette-y way.
Yeah.
Same style as I Know What You Did
But then
Last
you
Summer.
have what was it, Mutilator, that also has where the killer has a hook.
The hook.
Although
Is
I don't
he a
know.
fisherman?
It's nautical. They're at like a
It's not
beachside house.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
We saw it
We did?
together.
Oh, yeah. Oh, forgot.
It's just like I was saying before with slashers. Sometimes you watch them and they just
They
leave your brain as soon as
They
you
can
hit
blend
stop.
together.
Yeah, as soon as the credits roll.
So yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer is coming with me. Okay. What is next on yours?
Okay, so it's back to me, huh? Okay, so let's see. I just have to make a couple of notes because which ones have I chose?
I have a list here if you want to peek.
Okay. This one is I don't think it's going to be on your list, and it is for some people maybe not going to be considered part of the slasher genre, but I see it has a lot of the same elements as a slasher, and it's just a really cool movie, a really cool film. It's Tenebre by Dario Argento, 1982.
Okay.
It has also, going back to soundtracks, because we didn't say anything about like having any music on this desert island. So
I know
I definitely
we
want
have to play these movies just to have a dance
I want
party.
a movie with a really good soundtrack, and I want a movie where like people are having a party, although there's no party in Tenebre.
But there are some good dancey songs.
Oh, the amazing song by Goblin,
Yeah.
the opening track, and I think it's just called Tenebre. And it's one that's been sampled by Justice. Yeah, the French electronic duo Justice sampled it.
Well, then,
it's just
you're gonna have a rager on that
a cool
island.
movie. It is shot beautifully, in typical Argento style.
Yeah.
The colors are bright and vibrant. A lot of focus on like the eyes and the face of these models that he's casting for these movies. There is a detective element to it, but it's just so kind of like cool and just really fun to watch.
Were you saying that you think that might be considered not a slasher?
Well, because I was thinking it might be more in the giallo category, although there is a lot of crossover with
people
giallo.
are definitely getting slashed though.
Yeah, and I think the one of the kind of things that differentiates giallo from slasher is that giallos usually have some sort of crime or detective kind of a whodunit sort of element to it, and less of a like teenagers around a campfire. And watching some of these movies, you can see the direct influence on movies like Friday the 13th, and so like Mario Bava's Bay of Blood. Some of the kills in that movie are the exact same kills as Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So definitely an influence of the slasher. Some people may not consider it to be slasher, but I'm going to include this on the list.
I think, we're having a flexible list here.
You have an unknown killer wearing black gloves with a straight razor, terrorizing these women.
Yeah. I feel like it's, Pluto logic as long as you have like 2 of the 3.
2 of the 3. So yes, it's a really good movie. And
that was in your original 5, not in your lifeboat.
That's in my original 5.
Okay. Are we done with your original 5 now?
Not quite.
Oh.
I've got one more.
One more, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my next one is also from my lifeboat. And looking at my lifeboat here, I'm like, oh gosh, this is the last one that I can save. I think I'm going to have to go with a more recent one from 2017, Happy Death Day.
That's a good one. Actually, I like that choice.
Thank you.
Because it is basically Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
With a slasher kind of put over that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on a desert island, I imagine it's going to be pretty repetitive. You're watching the same 10 movies
Like,
over and over
I
again.
know what she's feeling.
Going
This
fishing,
sucks.
finding the coconuts,
Yeah.
getting the fire, making the hut, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it might feel repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
just in the same way she's reliving her day of death
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah. And it's a good time. And she doesn't necessarily fit that final girl model, because she's kind of bitchy, kind of an unsavory character, and you don't feel for her at first, and you're like, yeah, get her. But then you're like, oh, she's got layers, and you do start to root for her. And I think that I forget the actress's name. I'm sorry, but I think she does a great job. I think that's hard to do, to be unlikable and likable, and she does a fantastic job. I love when she's having fun with the death, and she's just like milling around campus naked or drinking a jug of Drano. That sounds like a terrible way to die. Why would you even experiment with that?
Well, I mean, when you're just dying over and over, you
she's like,
kind of just go through the gamut of different ways.
Yeah, like, I wonder what that's like. I mean, I don't wonder what drinking Drano is like. So that would not be one of my. I mean, I applaud her for, skydiving without a parachute. I could see trying that after like maybe death number 10.
I forgot about that part. That's funny that happened.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's funny, scary, and I do love who the killer ends up being as well. I won't reveal it. Tony doesn't like spoilers.
I think at this point, we should maybe recap what's on our list, because I've kind of lost track, and I think we're getting close to 10.
We have one left. Oh,
we're at 9.
We're at 9.
Wow. Okay. So let's recap.
Well, no, let's say what yours is, and then we'll recap. You want to recap?
Okay. Well, yeah.
I'll recap.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to recap.
All right.
I only get to choose one more movie.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from our original lists, and 3 that have been saved. So the original 6 are Slumber Party Massacre, Club Dread, Halloween, Candyman, Scream, and Tenebre. And the 3 saved from that sad little lifeboat are Dead Kids, aka Strange Behavior, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Happy Death Day.
Nice.
We get one more. Make it good.
Well, it's too hard.
It's for a desert island, Tony.
Well, okay, for the desert island, we get one more, and I think even if it's on your list, it doesn't matter, right? It's just I get the final say.
At this point,
because even if it's the same movie, then it gets slashed and saved, and then it's like,
yeah,
all right, we both chose the same.
At this point, all my original 5 have been said.
Oh wow, okay.
And I just have a few in my reserve boat, so yeah, I can't pick anymore. You get the last one.
This is hard because I have, this is too hard. I have movies that are in my top 10 horror of all time that I want to say, but then I am wondering if I should say something else because
this is your reserve boat, right?
No, I have one more in my top 5.
Oh no, you did it wrong.
Oops.
You dipped into your reserve book before bringing in your top 5?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were supposed to do.
No, you're supposed to bring in your top 5.
Well, this is the last on my top 5, so...
Okay. All right, well, then you got to bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one has to know what my reserve boat was.
We can rattle them off quickly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This was a tough decision because... well, now I'm just like...
now you want to take it off of your original list?
Well, because, I did want to represent 2 of the most iconics in the slasher game, and one being Jason Voorhees and one being
Do you want that on your
Freddy.
desert? Okay, yeah. So you have to decide, what do you want to come with you on the desert island?
This is what we're going to do. This is going to be not popular opinion, but I'm going to just choose this because I actually really love this movie, and it's one of the worst of the franchise.
Oh my gosh, what is it?
just teasing it
Like
out too
Jason
long.
in space?
No, actually, that's probably the worst of the franchise. But okay, it's from the Friday the 13th franchise. I need Jason in there for
Yeah.
the slasher.
Yeah.
Jason has to be there.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Now
Oh,
I'm thinking
no.
about it. In this movie, Jason's not in it.
Oh shoot. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is it the first Friday the 13th?
No. Sorry, Jason. You didn't make the lifeboat.
Sorry, Jason. Back in the lifeboat.
This is really funny now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so one of my favorites that's like notoriously one of the worst of the Friday the 13th franchise is Friday the 13th 5: A New Beginning.
Wait, Jason's not in that?
Jason is not in Friday the 13th 5: A New Beginning. It's a
What?
copycat killer. So this was made in 1985, directed by Danny Steinman, and it was made a year after what is considered to be the best Friday the 13th Part 4. That's the final chapter where they kill off Jason. And that one is actually on my reserve list because sometimes I blend together the Friday the 13th series.
Yeah.
I will admit that I'm not like it's not my favorite. I do really enjoy the first one and the second one. But I just like blend all the details together and I was kind of looking over the series and trying to remember like which ones I really liked. And 4 is actually a really, really good one. So it made my reserve list, but my favorite is 5. And I think because it is just
throws you for a loop.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's cheesy, it's fun, it's like not super serious, and it has these like really horribly written one-dimensional characters. They're like the most stereotypical characters. But for me, that a slasher film should have those things.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just feel bad for everyone getting slashed. Like you have to be like, oh, all right, I don't really like them anyway.
Well, then to like have a Friday the 13th and not have Jason in it, it's kind of like Halloween 3.
Like, gotcha.
Yeah, where they were trying to do something different and everyone just got pissed off because really people just want to see Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy. Could you imagine a Friday Nightmare on Elm Street without Freddy Krueger? Like, no.
Well, now I can because Jason did it.
Yeah, Jason did it and Michael did it. So now
they got to have a
Freddy's next to do
vacation.
it.
Freddy needs a vacation too. He wants to be on a desert island on his own.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with, as my last choice, number 10 on our desert island top 10 horror films is going to be Friday the 13th, Part 5,
New
A New
Beginning. Question, was that in your original 5 or was that in the lifeboat?
It was in the lifeboat. I strayed from the rules just as I stray from the slasher rules.
We do like movies that break the rules, so I guess that's fine. Okay, well now
but
I'm
the
curious.
only reason why I didn't choose the one that was in my original 5 is because I really did feel like I had to give Jason some love here.
Okay, well now I want to know what was that one that made it into your top 5 that didn't get to cut.
The one that was in my top 5 that really it's a top 5, but it's really just like a top 10. So there's no real order here for me. I don't think I really hold any of them.
We had to have a 5 that were like higher than the other 5.
Yes.
So what was in your top 5?
So the one that didn't make it that was in my top 5 was Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Oh.
And the reason why I chose that one, I was thinking about it and I was like, I could do I could do Nightmare on Elm Street. And is Freddy a slasher? It's more of a psychological slasher. But
he has like slashers.
I mean all the rest of the the elements do equate to slasher. Like you have the young people who are being terrorized in these sort of gruesome ways.
He's like slashing people.
His fingers are made of many slashing devices.
Yeah, so he's got multiple slashies that he can use.
So I consider Freddy or the Nightmare on Elm Street series to be in the slasher genre.
Yeah,
I
I think so.
consider Child's Play to be in the
Yeah.
slasher genre,
He's walking around with that voodoo knife.
even though they have that supernatural element to
Yeah.
it.
I mean, Candyman has a supernatural element, but he's slashing people. My only definition of slasher is that they have to slash people. You have to get like slashed somehow, and then I'm like, good, you're in the subgenre.
Okay, you can see, you can tell that we're not purists. So
No.
sorry to all of those fans
Yeah.
out there who are purists and are just like refuting us, like, what, this is terrible.
I mean, that's why
These are
I
not slasher
consider
movies.
Pluto a planet, because I'm just like, I'm not a purist. Get on in there, Pluto. You want to be a planet? Fine.
Okay, so now we can reveal what didn't make the cut, what was left in
Okay.
our
What
in our
has to
lifeboat. Although
stay?
I feel like most of my lifeboat is in the main
Yeah,
list.
you like picked your lifeboat over your
I clearly
actual-
didn't understand the rules of this game.
Or you just wanted to throw your actual slashers for a loop. You're like, ha ha, Freddy.
That's right. Yes.
You thought you were
This
going to
was-
make it,
this
but
is the
surprise ending.
twist. Sorry, Fred. I mean, I can't imagine a desert island without Freddy,
Yeah.
but
Up is down. Yeah.
that's okay. I chose some that are not as iconic horror movies that are just fun to
That's
watch.
fine. You know, that's the point of Desert Island, is that you don't have to pick the icons.
That's true. That's true.
So, because all of my 5 slashers made it to the island,
So we get to hear all of
as
your...
promised.
Okay.
My reserve lifeboat has a few in there. So, Sleepaway Camp from 1983.
Yes.
That was one of the first horror films that I saw when I was around like 9 or so.
Definitely hits all of the marks of
Yeah.
a slasher.
Yeah.
That no one can refute that that
Yeah.
is not a slasher.
And I'm going to spoil it, so cover your ears or something, because I loved it's just like kids are being killed, and there's like, you know, some creepy pedophile cook is killed.
That guy's pretty creepy.
He's so gross. And anyway, but they don't like make it so that just the, you know, unsavory adults are being killed. Kids are being killed too.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've ever seen characters that young from like the 80s being slashed. And then when it turns out that it's Angela, and Angela's got a surprise of her own, I won't disclose that part. But
I'll spoil some,
I'll
but not
spoil
all.
some, but not all, because oh man, that movie just
Because
has
if you
so
haven't
many
seen it, you need to go
surprises.
watch it.
It's good, and I don't think I appreciated it when I first saw it. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking about it because it's not even on my island. Anyway, that's in my reserve boat that stays
Okay,
in the reserve.
so quickly, without getting too far into...
Right. Okay, so the other ones, All the Boys Love Mandy Lane from 2006.
Okay, yeah,
I
that's a good
love
one.
that one.
I kind of forgot. I mean, I remember it, but I kind of forgot about it, so it wasn't on my radar.
It's a good one, but sorry, Mandy, you got to stay in the boat. And I think I only had one other one that didn't make it to the island, and it's Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And it's another one that's kind of like comedy horror, but turns into more horror towards the end. It like becomes like less funny as it goes on,
Mhm.
as it becomes more serious, and you're like, oh,
It's more meta horror.
yeah, and you're like, oh crap, like he's doing it. That one's a good one.
So the ones that didn't make the cut for me, you only had 2 that didn't make the cut. Is
Yeah.
that how that would
Yeah,
work?
because I was trying to strategically,
Oh, I guess I should probably oops, just dropping stuff
because yeah, you
everywhere.
said Halloween and Scream, so I got to bring in 2 from my lifeboat, and so I only had 3 of my top 10 that had to stay in the lifeboat.
I guess I do have 3 as well that are in my lifeboat still. One is Friday the 13th Part 4, which we just talked about, that a lot of people consider to be the best of the Friday the 13th franchise. The second one is I went with Terror Train.
Ooh,
Because it's just kind of fun. You know, I thought like having a party on a train is fun.
kind of
something
like
that I wanna
having a
see.
party on an island.
Yeah.
Like you can't leave, you can't get off, can't get off the party train.
I just really enjoyed Terror Train. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's nice and casual.
And then number 5 was Nightmare on Elm Street, the original.
Mm-hmm.
If Freddy is considered a slasher,
That
that's the only reason why it like was knocked sort of low on my list.
Yeah, this isn't adding up. So I had 3. No, I had 2. Yes, okay, that makes sense. So you had 3 and that stayed in your boat. I only had. Did we do this right? Oh crap.
Who knows? But we ended up with 10.
Who knows? We have 10.
So let's
in our
recap just one
island.
more time. We just did a recap, but let's do
Slumber
one
Party
more.
Massacre,
Yep.
Club Dread, Halloween, Candyman, Scream, Tenebre, and the saved ones, Dead Kids, aka Strange Behavior, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Happy Death Day, and Friday the 13th. 5 New Beginning.
A new beginning.
A new beginning.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, we're gonna have
All
a
right, we
great
did it.
time on
Yeah,
that island.
I think we have a pretty good range.
I think so too. We have like your comedy, you have your meta, your
Mhm.
romance, your iconic, and your social commentary. Yeah.
That's yep. We got all that.
And the twists, the twisters,
Yep.
like Friday the 13th 5.
Scream sort of, is that a twist or is that like a reveal?
That's more of a reveal. I feel like,
Okay.
the fact that there's a copycat killer in Friday the 13th, that's a pretty big twist.
Oh yeah, that's a bit
Yeah,
of a
and then
twist.
we have our Italian horror as well. I feel like you can have some Italian
Yes,
horror. Yeah.
we have some
International.
international with Strange
Yeah.
Behavior
Art house
and with Tenebre.
All right. Well, that was fun. Yeah, I want to go to this island now.
All right, send me
What's
to the
on
island.
your desert island list? Make 10, make 5. Who knows? Put it in the comments below.
Put in the comments below. Email us, guttedhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what your top 10 desert island horror
let us know-
slasher, sorry, not just horror, slasher
films. And let us know if you would want to be on our island with our top 10 or if you would jump in that lifeboat.
And let us know what
Swim away.
your stipulations for a slasher film
I
are.
am
Are you a
curious.
purist or do you have a wider definition of what a slasher
What a slasher
is?
could be. And do you think Pluto is a planet? Why or why not? That's what I really want to know.
So Aleece is going to be starting her science podcast, and I'm
Science.
going to be starting a comedy podcast
With
where I
what?
just
Not that you're
talk
not
about
funny, but-
Broken Lizard films.
Oh, okay.
So I talk about Super Troopers and
Beer Fest.
Beer Fest.
Yeah.
Really, I just talk about those.
So
two
it's more of a
movies in
Broken
depth.
Lizard podcast.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That sounds good. Well, thanks guys for tuning in to another episode of